Hello everyone, very warm welcome everyone, very warm welcome to ITLS Academy. This is continuation part of early development. In this part, we will see fertilization and development of blastocyst. In our previous lecture, we have seen the process of fertilization, what are the steps till the fertilization and how this fertilization happens. So, in this lecture, we will see that how fertilization undergoes the development of blastocyst and further blastocyst differentiates into an adult. So, let's start. We are going to see the way of zygote to the uterus. What does this line means? The formed zygote will start to travel and this further goes for the implantation. Implantation is the process of attachment of this zygote with the uterine ball. So, the process of traveling to the uterine wall is known as way. So, we will see way of zygote to the uterus. First point is after fertilization, the zygote makes its way to the uterus. That is a journey that takes 3 to 4 days in mice and 5 to 7 days in humans. In humans and mice, at about the 8 cell stage, the embryo compacts, meaning that the formerly loose ball of cells comes together in a tight array that is interconnected by gap junctions. Here in this diagram you can see these are four cell stages. These are four cells, while in the other stage, that is a morula. Morula is a stage that comes after the formation of zygote. After many cleavages there is formation of morula. You can see here a lot of cells are present. All these cells are connected by a junction that is known as gap junction. What is gap junction? This is a gap junction that permits the direct transfer of things or cytoplasm from one cell to the another cell. In the case of plant, this gap junction is known as plasmodesmata. You all have studied this. In the case of animals, this plasmodesmata is termed as gap junction. Gap junction is made up of connection proteins. This looks something like this. These are six proteins that are arranged helically. You can see here. First one, second one, third, fourth, and fifth and sixth are behind these cells. These are six cells, and this structure is made by cells that are known as connexin. And this is also known as connexon. This is gap junctions that connects all of these cells present in the stage of morula or any stage between it and after it. If these cells that are cleavage cells after cleavage that are present, these all will be connected with the help of gap junctions. Next point, recent information from studies of mouse embryos indicates that even at this early stage of embryogenesis, the anterior posterior axis of the embryo has been established. The establishment of the anterior posterior axis is critical to normal fetal development because it helps determine the overall body plan of the embryo. What does it means? How it can define overall fate of the embryo? So patterning or axis formation becomes a crucial step. Although this is a very funny diagram, but you can consider it. Uh, if there will not be an axis, then you can see here there is a not proper patterning. There is this hand is something weird like, so this type of structure will form if there is not patterning, axis formation. If there will be axis formation, then there will be a proper patterning, and after that patterning, hands, legs, and each and everything will form. Here in this diagram, it is shown this is zygote. Zygote develops into morula, and morula further develops into blastula, that is blastocyst. This blastocyst is a stage just before the implantation. At the stage of blastula, this zygote implants with the uterine wall. The structure of this blastocyst includes trophoblast, that is outer layer, inner cell mass, that is a mass of cells at one place, and one blastocyst cavity. It is also known as blastocele cavity. In mice, the first evidence that cells have become specialized occurs when the outer cells of the 16 cell morula is a stage containing 16 cells. All 16 cells are connected by the gap junction. And this morula divide to produce an outer rim of cells, that is the trophoectoderm, and an inner core of cells, this is the inner cell mass. As I'm showing you again, you can see here this is outer trophoblast, this is a core of cells, that is inner cell mass. In the first differentiation event of embryogenesis, the outer or polar cells give rise to the trophoectoderm, and the inner or apolar cells become the inner cell mass. Next point is, ultimately, the cells of the inner cell mass will give rise to all the tissues of the embryo's body, as well as to the non-trophoblast tissues that support the developing embryo. This trophoectoderm, that is outer layer, in turn will generate the trophoblast cells of the chorion, the embryo's contribution to the extra embryonic tissues known as the placenta. This trophoectoderm helps in the formation of placenta. Here at this stage, the cells of the inner cell mass and trophoectoderm continue to divide. Information gained from the study of mouse embryos suggests that the two tissues need to interact. The inner cell mass helps maintain the ability of trophoectoderm cells to divide, and the trophoectoderm appears to support the continued development of the inner cell mass. Coming to the next point, by embryonic day 3, this is day 3 in humans, and in the case of mice it is known as E3.0. This is day 3. Day 3 is written as in this format in the case of mouse. So at the embryonic day 3 in humans and E3.0 in the mouse and day 5 to 6 in human development, the embryo develops a cavity called as blastocele. As a result of cavitation, cavitation is the formation of cavity blastocele. So as the result of cavitation and the physical separation and differentiation of the trophoectoderm from the inner cell mass, the morula becomes a blastocyst. Here in this diagram you can see it is shown here the development of the pre-implantation blastocyst. What does it mean, pre-implantation? Whenever there is a pre-word in any particular word, then this means before. So this pre-implantation means before the implantation. Implantation is the attachment of the zygote with the uterine wall, and we are going to see the development that is happening before the implantation. The implantation stage of zygote is a blastocyst in humans. So we are going to see pre-implantation events in humans. You can see here this is the structure of ovary. A part of the ovary is taken here to just to show you the movement, how the movement of zygote occurs. What is the way of zygote? That is our main heading. So we are going to see way of zygote from here to here. Here you can see this is ovary. Ovulation is happening from the ovary. This is process of ovulation, and this is our ovulated oocyte. On the day 0 of fertilization, first, this is on the day on which day there is process of oocyte ovulation happened. This is fertilized egg. When eggs and sperm meet, this is fertilized egg. After fertilization, you can see here fertilized egg have two pronuclei. One is from sperm and one is from egg. After that, after fertilization, this becomes single pronuclei, and here first cleavage occurs. First cleavage occurs at day 1, first day. After fertilization, at the first day cleavage occurs. After first cleavage, at the second day, second cleavage stage. Day 3 to 4, there is a 4-cell stage. And further 8 compacted morula. Morula is a stage that is composed of 8 cells. Here you can see this is uterus and this is uterine wall. As we know that implantation is occurs at this uterine wall. So this 8 cell uncompacted marula comes at 4 day and becomes the 8 cell compacted marula. On the 5th day, you can see here on the 5th day there is formation of early blastocyst. This early blastocyst contains a outer layer that is known as trophoectoderm and cavity that is blastocele and inner cell mass. Coming to the day 6 to 7. Day 6 to 7th from the fertilization, there is formation of zona pellucida. This is the outer layer, zona pellucida you can see here. This is late stage blastocyst or we can say it is hatching. Here you can see this is zona pellucida spread all over the zygote. But here you can see that zona pellucida is limited. It will leave the embryo and further it will help in the attachment of the blastocyst with the wall. So here it is day 8 to 9. At the 8th or 9th day, there is process of implantation occurs. It is implantation of the blastocyst. This blastocyst attached from the side that side contains inner cell mass and now it is known as a hypoblast. This upper portion is known as epiblast and lower portion is known as hypoblast and our blastocyst is now attached with the uterine wall and this is known as implantation. Remember we have seen all these processes happening in humans, how fertilization and how the development of implant occurs in humans. We will also see this process in mice. So let us see. Human embryonic stem cells are derived from embryos generated through in vitro fertilization procedure and donated for research. An embryo at this stage of a development in vivo would not yet be physically connected to uterine wall. It would still be a pre-implantation embryo. We cannot derive human embryonic stem cell from the implanted blastocyst. Here you can see this is pre-implantation blastocyst. This is pre-implantation embryo. So if we want to extract human embryonic stem cells, we can extract them from this stage. On the stage of implantation, when this blastocyst is attached with the uterine wall, it would not be possible to separate embryonic stem cells from this blastula. That's why if this process is happening in vivo, so if you want to culture these cells, human embryonic stem cells, then you have to prefer this stage, that is a pre-implantation stage. This is an important point and can be asked in exam, so you must remember it. Coming to the next point, embryonic stem cells that are grown in the laboratory most closely resemble cells of the epiblast. You can see here these are cells of the epiblast, that is the attached portion of blastula. This is attached blastocyst, and the upper portion of this blastocyst is known as epiblast. So if the embryonic stem cells are growing in the laboratory, that is ex vivo or in vitro, so these cells resembles like epiblast, but embryonic stem cells are not identical to epiblast cell. This is the most important point, guys, because you can see here, let me highlight this. It is shown here that these cells resemble cells of the epiblast, but embryonic stem cells are not identical. What does it mean? Here it is said that these cells will resemble with the epiblast, but these are not identical. These would not actually, these are different from this epiblast cell. These the looks are similar, but the work is not similar. These are not identical cells, and this may be confusing at the time of development. So you should remember this point. If we talk about this epiblast, so this term refers to all the pluripotent cell populations. What is pluripotent? I hope you all remember. Pluripotency is the nature of any cell to develop in multiple kind of cells. So epiblast refers to all the pluripotent cell populations that follow the formation of the primitive endoderm and precede the formation of the gastrula. So now what is gastrula? Gastrula is another stage that is formed after the blastocyst implantation. A gastrulation is another event that is a broad event. We will also discuss that. Next point. Unlike the epiblast cells of the embryo, embryonic stem cells in vitro cannot give rise to the complete organism. This is the reason of this point why these embryonic stem cells resemble to epiblast but not identical. Because epiblast cell can give rise to whole organism, but embryonic stem cells in vitro cannot give rise to complete organism. This is the main difference why these cells are identical, but why these cells resemble to the epiblast cell but are not identical. These embryonic stem cells do not have the 3D environment that is essential for embryonic development in vivo. So this is the reason for this particular point. The epiblast cells of the embryo and embryonic stem cells in culture both have the potential to give rise to all the cell types of the body, but it can give rise to all these cells but not a complete organism. Here in this diagram you can see the development of the pre-implantation blastocyst in mice. We have already seen it in case of humans. Now here you can see the development in case of mice. From day 0, 0 is known as E0 through day 5. Day 5 is known as E5.0. Here you can see this is ovulation and this is E naught, that is day 0. At the zero point 0.5 day 0.5, here is fertilization occurs. At day 1 there is fertilized egg. This is fertilized egg. E 1.5, two cell embryo forms. At day 2, four celled structure formed. At day 2.5, that is 2 days plus half, 8 cells uncompacted. This is uncompacted morula. And on the day 3, there is compacted morula. Here comes the stage of blastocyst. This is early blastocyst and it is also known as hatching. You can see here zona pellucida. This is inner cell mass and trophoblast. This formation is at day 4. On the day 4.5, here the formation of epiblast, hypoblast. You can see here a main difference, that is epiblast and hypoblast are formed here before the implantation, while in the case of humans, these both structures are formed after the implantation. So this is the most important point you should remember. Next comes implantation. Implantation occurs in the uterine wall. The blastocyst implants in the uterine wall. Very first point is on or about post fertilization day 8 to 9 in humans, and it is day 4.5 in the mouse. The ball shaped embryo implants into the uterine wall. The inner cell mass of the human embryo at this stage has split into layers. One is the hypoblast, which lies next to the blastocele and gives rise to the primitive endoderm. By E6.0 in the mouse, that is 6th day in the mouse, three differentiated cell types exist: the trophoblast, epiblast, also called as embryonic ectoderm or primitive ectoderm at this stage, and the primitive endoderm. These all structures formed before the implantation in case of mouse. During the next major phase of the development, termed gastrulation, the embryonic ectoderm will differentiate into the three primary germ layers. And the three primary germ layers are ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. The formation of the placenta is a critical process in human embryogenesis. The placenta anchors the developing embryo to the uterine wall and connects it to the maternal bloodstream, thus supplying the embryo with ions and metabolites and providing a waste removal mechanism for the embryo. Next point. In mice, some of the genes that regulate the development of the placenta have been identified. One is the MAS2 gene, which is expressed in the trophoblast cells of the embryo after it implants into the uterine wall. So, you can see the development of placenta is regulated by this particular gene. You should also remember this gene because our main focus is the development of a mouse. Thank you very much everyone for watching this session. Follow ITLS Academy on various social media platforms and also subscribe our channel. Thank you very much.